Okay, we are going live. Hey guys, JD says hello. Hope you're both well. Hi JD. We're actually doing not too bad. Ian was able to mow the entire back lawn, so that was quite the accomplishment compared to last year not being able to do any yard work. So, yes. Katrin, first time hitting the live right at the beginning. Well, congratulations and welcome to the live chat. You have everyone's attention. You can ask whatever you like. That's why we're here. JD says, do you have any tips on awakening the chakras in your hands for energy healing? A lot of rubbing together like this and focusing on those spots so that you can begin to feel them and visualize light and energy coming out of them. That's the only thing I can think of. That's sort of how it works for me.
Well, the most important thing is just to start trying and keep at it until you succeed.
Right.
Really.
Because, it'll happen. And, touching them and thinking about them. When you're working with stones, for example, a lot of times you're using that chakra to kind of sense the energy of a stone. So practicing with different stones and feeling the energy and stuff that's in there would be an ideal method for finding that out or figuring that out. Experiential things like that, you can say all kinds of words about them, but you don't know what the words mean until it actually happens to you, and then you get the sensation, and then you know what it is. And then after that, you know what you're looking for. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like talking about a ritual versus doing one. It's fun to talk about, but it's different doing it. So that would be our suggestion. Destiny says, hello, how is everyone doing? Hi, Destiny, welcome to our live chat. Katrin says, is there anything going on energetically speaking? My husband and I both have been feeling drained and like our circuits are somewhat scrambled all week. And JD says, thank you. Okay, so everyone here is doing good, as far as I can tell. And going on energetically, it's going to depend. Everyone's life is going to have different cycles, different rhythms and things like that. So it could be a personal rhythm rather than a planetary one. I mean, a lot of times people like to blame solar flares on all kinds of things. And considering the fact that, we have evolved with solar flares throughout our history, I'm not sure exactly how much of that is valid when it comes to throwing us off. Because if we can't actually sustain ourselves through different times, then I don't know. It just seems like an excuse to explain away not feeling well. But I mean, in reality, everybody's got their own personal tides and rhythms and energetic movements and that kind of thing. So it could be something going on near you in your life. Could be that you just need to focus inward for a while and sort of re-energize and repurpose what you're doing and take care of yourself if you're feeling drained. So that would be my suggestion there. So John D says, you guys give so much good information. Good, I'm glad. Angry Alexandria says, hello everyone. Hi, Angry Alexandria. Violet says, hi you two and everyone. Hi Violet. Moonradish says, hello. Hi Moonradish. Yeah, so I got some interesting responses from the latest video, The Other Side, and some people had some detailed questions about the information that I provided. So anybody who has any questions about that, feel free. And we'll see what we can answer and find out what's going on for people. But anyway, spring is here in the southern hemisphere. Of course, it's the opposite. And May Day Beltane is coming up in a little over a week, because this is the I have to look at the date. 24th, that's what it is. So next Sunday, I guess, is going to be May 1st, because there's only 30 days in April. Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be a good day to have a live show. Mixed Diva says, hello all, driving currently to go look for some crystals. Awesome! Good luck! Don't worry, I am using speech to text while driving. Glad to hear that. It's always good to be safe. We don't want anyone crashing because they're trying to find out more information. That would be a rather rude way to find out what's going on the other side, wouldn't it? Then you could text us and tell us what's happening as you're going away. But no, everybody stay safe. So yes, thank you for letting us know. We've had a couple of warm days. I've been able to get out and do some weeding in the garden, and Ian was able, like I said, to mow the back lawn. So, and that was a feat, not just because of not being able to do it previously, but because we have had so much rain, we haven't been able to work in the backyard at all. So it was like humongous at its height, jungle yard. So Jonathan says, hi everyone. Hi Jonathan. Welcome. And it's, I like being out in the sun, so yay. Mixed Diva is laughing at what I said. Yeah, we don't want anyone to get hurt. But, you know, it's like things are constantly transforming into something else. It's just fascinating. The wheel keeps turning one way or the other.
Well, I am doing good.
Good. Oh, Luna says, hey, all, how are you and Siofra? You, Siofra, and Ian. He is doing good. I am doing good. I've been having some odd dream experiences. I've been trying to do some distance looking at a location up in Portland because a friend of mine thinks there could be a haunting there, and I don't want to drive to Portland, so I'm trying it long distance. And it's been interesting, but so far I haven't, I mean, what I've gotten indicates there might be something there, but I don't know yet what I'm going to do about that. So I've been considering the idea of heading up there and checking it out in person, because I trust my instincts, you know, my energetic antenna more when I'm there in person than I do when I'm doing it distance. It just really depends on the frame of mind I'm in. So Mixed Diva says, I live in Portland. Where is the spot? It's a bank, the Umpqua Bank on Lovejoy and 11th, I think, is the actual location. That would be the spot. So, hey, if you want to go check out the branch and see if you feel anything, that would be awesome. I would love that. See if you get any, like, you know, vibe, and we can compare notes and see what we've got. Since our group isn't really together for doing the investigations and stuff like that, because everybody has now spread to different places. One of them is in Texas, and, you know, so we're not doing those types of investigations. It's just generally me and Ian. But that would be awesome. Destiny says, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so I was doing a lot of flying last night. When I woke up this morning, I realized that I was in a car, so it would seem, and it got hit by some kind of a current, and I started heading straight up in the air in the car like I was on a carnival ride, and I'm going like, oh no, I can't get off the ride. I'll have to get through it and see what happens. So Vanessa V says, hello, my mom and I just finished our witch's bottle. How is everyone doing? Well, congratulations. I love making those things. They're fun. I like witch's bottles. And we're all doing pretty well. Violet says Lovejoy is an extremely congested area, Siofra and Ian. Yeah, it used to be. It's the old Pearl District, and there used to be a lot of and railroad tracks and warehouses and stuff apparently in there before it turned into the financial and shop district it is now, as well as I guess arts and stuff like that. From what I was reading, you can actually find the bank online. Mixed Diva says, Bank on Lovejoy. I will check it out and let you know. Thank you. Violet says, everything shrinks like shrink wrap. Do you know the Lovejoy area? That would be a no, except what I looked at online. Jonathan says, Siofra, I felt bad for you getting the comment on your video from a dude who was upset with you for not treating cows exactly the same as people. It's tough maintaining respectful conversations. Well, the misunderstanding that he had because he didn't have complete information and the individual's assumption that I was saying that I thought that people were better than cows was the problem with the comment. So I tried to supply more information because, I forget people come into our channel new and haven't necessarily read or listened to all of the various stories I've shared so far. And sometimes I forget which ones I've shared, but I'm pretty sure I talked about the cow and it experiencing its passing and why it died and so forth, because that was one of my encounters with a goddess figure, because I saw Hathor when I connected with the cow, so it was certainly an interesting experience. But yeah,
I tried to connect with Hathor a few times and never succeeded in getting anything.
well, I wasn't trying to connect with Hathor at the time. I was trying to heal the cow, but Hathor was there, so I knew the cow was going to die. Because the Hathor was there to help the cow. It's like, hey. So animals have gods and goddesses that help them out. So I think that's awesome. It's just all different. But, that's the thing about communication is it's easy for people to get sidetracked in their own brain and have one phrase trigger a series of thought processes that has nothing to do with the rest of the sentence. And that's something all of us need to work on because, we're all prone to having that happen to us, some more than others. But that's why it's good to know your own brain, know your own thoughts, and to be able to put like a stop and take a step back and go like, is that really what they were saying? Maybe I could ask this question in a slightly less confrontational manner. But hey, this is the internet. I've had a few people lately that I had to just take away from the comment section because they weren't interested in having a discussion, especially in the Crowley video, because that one seems to be one of those subjects that creates a lot of polarization, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be one way of putting it. And we're just here to give information. And I'm assuming that people who watch that understand that we're not actually working with Crowley at the moment and so forth. But,
Well, anyway, even if we were.
Yeah.
But,
factual information is important to us as much as we can express that. So we try our best, but we're human and we do sometimes fail to mention something that might be important to somebody, which is why we like questions. Shay says, hello, Siofra. Hello, Ian. Hello, everyone. Hi, Shay. Maybe you would like to go check out the bank, too, since you're also up in Portland. Moonfire Dawn says, thank goodness for the block button. Yeah, that one person I decided was a troll, so, We're here for sharing information, not for trying to convince people of things, and arguing pointlessly with somebody is just not interesting to us in the slightest. So Violet says, I'm going to give my 2 cents, leave the Lovejoy area to another soul or get double payment. It is too much these days, but that's just me too. You cannot even park easily. Your area is low key. Well, yeah, but yeah, this will be up to us to decide if we go or not. I'm sure I can handle it if I needed to. So Rebecca says, hello. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us. Jonathan says, I like animals more than people, but I force myself to care more about animals than I do about people. It's unnatural for me, but I feel a human child needs to be more important than anything else. I think you mistook there. You said you like animals more than people, but you make yourself care more about animals. But then you mentioned children, so I'm confused. But that's fine. Destiny says people really love to hate Crowley. I named my cat Alistair after him, and I've had people flip because of it. Oh God, some people are so silly. Shay says I was just wondering about the bank on Lovejoy. Yeah, it's the Umpqua Bank, 1149 or something like that. It's pretty much on the corner. I looked it up online and got a walkthrough from Google. I'm like, boy, internet is something else. You can go look on the inside of a building from a few years ago. Don't know if it still looks like that, but it was interesting. Violet says it was only 2 pennies. Don't worry. We don't let other people make our decisions for us, and we won't blame them if we choose to do what they ask or say, because we are in charge of our own. So Jonathan says, what were the problems with the Crowley video? I thought it was brilliantly done. Thank you very much. And no, he just wanted to talk about Crowley being a drug addict and being an evil influence in the universe kind of thing. And I pointed out the reason he was on heroin was because it was the only treatment for asthma which he had and would have killed him if he hadn't been on it. People forget that medicine has made some incredible strides, and things like the I think it's called, oh, okay, I can't remember that one name right now, but there was a bunch of different things made from one was made from morphine, was a product that people used a lot to help them sleep and so forth. And then, of course, cocaine was in Coca-Cola in the beginning, and it was, really surprising, highly addictive. People had to buy Coke a lot, and they really liked it because it gave them some boosts, energy boost. And then, both cocaine and heroin were medications that were used around the turn of the century for some different medical conditions. And we know that they're addictive now, and they really knew that they were addictive then, but there were no other options. So that's what he did. And I wasn't trying to excuse his behavior, which is what the person decided I was doing. I was just, giving them context. So, Bep says, Ghostbusters, ta-da-da-da-da-da. We could all check things sometimes, would be fun. Yeah. Jonathan says, my bad, yeah, other way around, got to care about people first. Okay, I was just checking. Laudanum, yes, that's the one I was trying to think of. Thank you very much. Spelling, I don't know, but yes. And Angela says, hi everyone, hi Siofra, hi Angela. And she also adds, hi Violet. Moonfire says, Coca-Cola, put the pep back in your step, yes.
So, before we leave the Crowley subject entirely, I wanted to do, I'm going to need to do another video with things that people need to know to do Crowley stuff, like gematria and the Kabbalistic stuff and that. But since I noticed a couple of people here, what do you want to learn about Crowley, or his rituals, or what's? There's so much stuff I don't quite know where to go with it for a start.
Grab my pencil, make notes.
Yeah, so if anybody has any good suggestions on, is it the Enochian stuff, or I do want to get back to that eventually.
Yeah. Of course. Angela says, who even was he? They use that name so much in media. I have no clue where all comes from. What was so special about this guy? Well,
he upset everybody.
Well, he did upset everybody, but the thing that was special about him was he actually rewrote all the rituals for the Golden Dawn, which is kind of one of the foundational groups for the Hermetic magic.
He published all the.
That he also rewrote a lot of them. I mean,
the OTO ones, not the.
Oh, I thought he did the Golden Dawn ones too. Okay, my bad. Since I'm not.
He's got his own version of the pentagram, which is in Greek, pentagram ritual, which is something else I might go over because it's.
Yeah, well, I thought that he had expanded them out somewhat, but anyway, it depends on what your interest is. If you're a witch and you're interested in ritual and spell work and crystals and things like that, you're not going to find anything of interest with Crowley. If you're a ceremonial magician and studying Hermeticism, then you're probably going to find some stuff in there that might be useful or at least historically interesting and contextual for you.
Unfortunately, it's brain challenging to try to read Crowley until you picked up a number of his terms and things.
Violet says, you were so great with the half-hour Crowley. What a killer view. I'm super interested in Enochian, always, always. M.
Cool.
Paula says, it would be cool if you talk about the Kabbalah on Crowley's perspective.
I can do that.
So, Crowley... Kabbalah. Make my notes, otherwise we'll forget. Destiny says, I would like to learn more about his rituals. Any particular kind of rituals? Violet says, I also love your take on the turn-of-the-century medicines. Well done. Thank you. Moonfire said, I would like to know the whole history. He interacted with Gardner and Fortune, right? I'm fascinated how the magic revival exploded at the same time. Well, he and Fortune were both in the Golden Dawn. Right. I don't think Gardner was,
right,
though.
At the same time.
Yeah, they were founding members with Mathers and all of those people.
Well, not really. The three founding members were Mathers, Westcott, and Franz Hartmann.
Okay, so they joined after. Mm-hmm. But they were all together. Yeah. And they all went separately. How about Paul Foster Case? Was he also in with them, with the Golden Dawn?
Yeah, that's how he got his start.
Yeah, actually, one of the things I thought would be a good idea would be a history of the Golden Dawn and how it started and its membership and who was in there, which would give context to all of that.
Well, these are some good ideas. I like the way things are phrased, so this gives me plenty of information to work from on that subject. So thank you. We'll write all this stuff down and then see what I can come up with.
Okay. Jonathan says, Ian, we keep telling you what we want to learn. Maybe you can tell us what you want to tell us about Crowley. Here's an example. I would love to have your understanding of the Abra Molin at Boleskine.
And I'll certainly go into that too. That's a failure. He didn't have success with that, but he had some odd things happen. Okay, we can do that.
Okay. Violet says, just learning that you say he is hard to read is super helpful too. Luna says, how about a video on Crowley's terms to make reading him easier?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of doing for the next one.
It's terminology. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Violet says, what lawsuit did David Griffin win? Do you know?
Is this related to Crowley or?
Yeah. Context. Give us some context.
Yeah, the name doesn't mean much to me, David Griffin, but.
Crystal says, firstly, I thought your first video on Crowley was awesome. I loved it. I think I would be interested in your perspective above all.
Cool. I get it.
Destiny says, thank you, Ian. Luna says, thanks, Ian. That would be great. M. Paula says, yes, the historical perspective of GD and the personal trajectory of Crowley. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the important things to do is to learn about our history and where all of this comes from as well. Because it's like everything else. It's like it gives more texture to the whole process and it might help us to avoid certain potential mistakes as well. Because we can then look historically and see where things worked and didn't work and so forth. And also our personal feelings about it. Because, I mean, I've always known people who are interested in Crowley, as far as I can remember, before I even met you. So it's not like he was a new thing to me.
Right.
But I was never personally interested in studying him because that wasn't my style. I was looking for more nature religion focus and interaction directly with, nature and the spirits that are involved in that, rather than doing the ceremonial style of things. So, that's the thing. It's like we've all got different personalities and different needs at different times in our development too, that we're, fascinated by, interested in, learn more about, decide if we want to follow up with or not. And that's what we're hoping that we do, is to give people as complete and accurate information about what we know on a subject as we can, to make your choices about what you want to do with your magical existence easier to make, right? That kind of thing.
Okay.
So, Jonathan said, thank you, Ian. Violet says, David Griffin is Golden Dawn Alpha Omega Church. He has a deep love of Golden Dawn and teaches the grade work in the school. He's a very nice man. I met him by Zoom once or twice. So he's new.
Okay, cool.
Current. Recent. Alive. Alive and not dead. Yeah, I mean, we're all on such different paths, and that's as it should be, because we all have to have our own we all have our own method and our own instincts to go where we're going to go. Angela says, thanks for letting me know. This is interesting. What did he do to make everyone mad? I remember you mentioning Crowley broke an oath. Which one? Oh, he did so many things to make everyone mad. I mean,
really, it was the press and things that got carried away with everything.
Well, actually, he started the whole idea of the National Enquirer himself. He decided that any advertising was good advertising, and he promoted some of the stories about himself, and it took off in the newspapers of the time. And I read one local newspaper that was hysterically funny, because Crowley had been out of the country for a while, and he was coming back to his townhouse or wherever the heck he lived, and the local newspaper printed up this big, huge thing that says, lock up your women and your girls, because Crowley is back. Protect them. And I just like, yeah, right, okay. And so he was a bit of a cad in that sense, that his sense of humor was kind of acerbic, and making people upset was something that he enjoyed doing, I think, because it got a reaction, and he thought it made people think. And I don't think that worked as well as he hoped that it would. But,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so that would be some of the things. Michael says, hello, everyone.
Oh, she also asked which oath. That's by publishing the Golden Dawn material, which he had taken an oath not to reveal. So that was the oath breaking.
Okay. So Luna says, hi, Michael. Jonathan says, Crowley is part of my path, whether I like it or not. I think for the most part he was a bastard, but his work made what I am doing possible. He is a pioneer. He normalized this path. Respect. Luna says, Michael, even my mistake. Okay. I see. The E and the A got reversed. Vanessa V says, on a different topic, but do you have a video on familiars? I asked what they are exactly on the last live, but a detailed video would be fantastic if you can. Okay, the subject of familiars. Of course, the familiars I have aren't living in a body at the moment, but yes, I'll do what I can about that. Sounds like a good subject. I have a few others that have already been suggested that I need to do, so that's why I'm starting to write things down, because you guys come up with great ideas, and then I'm out of here and I'm gone, and then poof, I don't remember. So so Michael says, any suggestions where to find an LBRP step-by-step guide that everyone agrees with?
Well, I've been thinking about putting my version out there, my thoughts on it. I don't know of any other pre-existing ones myself, though. But write that down and we'll do that too.
LBRP.
I'll have enough videos for...
Oh, for the next couple of months anyway. Luna says that Jonathan finally well recognized. Michael says, hi Luna. Moonfire Dawn says, Crowley was a shock rocker before Alice Cooper and rock in general. That would be one way of describing him. Yes.
I like that.
Michael says, laugh out loud. It's okay. I've been called worse. Vanessa V says, thank you. Michael says, okay, please do. Thank you both. All right.
So, you wrote down the LBRP?
I did.
Okay.
It's on my list.
That's been something I wanted to go over anyway, because it's so much more than a banishing ritual. I wish they hadn't named it the Lesser Banishing Ritual, because it really has some serious effects on your personal development, and elemental balances and things that are well worthwhile.
Angela says, excuse me. Oh, I wasn't calling you that. I was calling Crowley that. Oh, he was just north end of a south walking donkey. I missed that one. Okay. And Violet says that David Griffin is not a fan of Crowley. Okay, I missed a few. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, Golden Dawn people probably wouldn't be in general, if nothing else, just for that reason that he broke his oaths and published all their material.
Yeah, I would say that that would be a reason for them to not have positive feelings and warm and fuzzies in his direction. Michael says, my other screen name is Never Run Paranormal, and I completely agree. Trying to perfect the LBRP before making B onto anything else. Oh, he wants you to make that video first. Priority. That's what that means.
I can do that. It's been in my head, and I've been thinking about it the last few days, so.
I put a star next to it and circled the star. Okay. Elliot says, I like that, Ian. Me onto the banished part. I make my little bubble every day. Jonathan says, how have you guys managed the Christian symbolism in the LBRP? Well, I don't use the Christian symbolism in the LBRP for myself. That's the reason why I had Ian write one that used the ancient names or other names for the elemental heads rather than the angels, because I didn't connect with them. But Ian has his own style too.
Yeah, I've done the LBRP for so long. I've changed it a little bit. I think my thoughts on it will be a unique perspective because I haven't read everybody's stuff, but I don't know of any material where they go into the ways that it balances your elements and brings down spirit.
Which is what we did in the meditation. So there's a meditation already up that does that, a guided meditation that is the nuts and bolts of the lesser banishing ritual, but not the ritual.
Right, and well, it's yeah, it was made for a specific purpose for a specific individual at the time. I'm sure if I made it again, it would come out different.
Well, I like it. Everybody liked it. It's a good one. Okay, cool. So Luna says that Michael Foolish Fish has 2 different versions of the LBRP on his channel, but room for discussion between the 2. Definitely worth a watch. Love to see your version, Ian. Michael says, much love to both, much appreciated. I hear you, Luna. He's updated it, but it's hard to follow along while doing the actual ritual. Violet says, agree. Appreciate you too. Ditto. Thank you. Thank you very much. We always like being appreciated. Otherwise, why would we bother? No one appreciated it. It'd be like spitting in the wind on the top of a mountaintop. There's no one else around. Foolishness. Unproductive. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about how we deal with the Christian symbolism in there in the video, but basically you can substitute for the elemental heads and things instead of the archangels. We'll go into that when I get to it.
Michael said, thank you, Luna, for the suggestion. Elena says, hello, Siofra. Hi, Elena. Jonathan says, not sure why this comes to mind right now. Siofra, would you consider doing a video on bringing down the moon? I did. I did a video on drawing down the moon. I talked about the process, how it feels, how difficult it can be, how open and vulnerable you have to be in order to do it, some of the symbolism of it. I haven't talked about any of the specific rituals that we have used for doing that. I've done it several different ways. So I'm not sure if there's more for me to elaborate on that or not. Violet says, you make me laugh. Good. Humor is healing. Luna says, at Michael, I've taken pages of notes. Denny recommends doing it the Golden Dawn way at first before switch over to his own version as it raises a hell of a lot of energy.
Well, the Golden Dawn version is actually an outstanding version as far as that goes, other than the Christian symbolism, which some people don't care for.
And so Desert Gerardum says, hi, everyone. Hi, I haven't seen you on our live show in a while. Welcome. Nice to see you back. Michael says, gotcha, Luna. I'll definitely try that. Resources. Good to have them.
All right.
Sip of water time. Ah. Everybody is thinking.
Yeah.
Astral says
so.
hello. Hi, Astral. Is that Astral? Astral. I love letters or names with no vowels in them. That makes it really hard to pronounce. Elena says, where are you originally from? I was born in Virginia, raised in Rhode Island, went back to Virginia, then lived up northern British Columbia and Saskatchewan in different places for about 15 years, down to Santa Cruz for a good 5 years, then up here to Oregon, where I've been for quite some time. I came up here I met you in 91, so I think I came up here in 1990, right after I graduated. See, I graduated from massage school in March of 90, moved up to Northern California, Wairika area for a while, and then up to Medford. So, and in 91 is when Ian and I got together in July. It's when we had our first official date. But by February, Aaron had left me, so. Violet says, tell me about your familiar, please. I have a couple of them. I have a spirit bear and a spirit panther, black panther. In fact, the other night, I forgot, in my room, there were two of them. Like, my panther brought a friend. It was like two panthers in my room, and I was like, okay. So, I mean, they're protectors. They warn me about danger. They help me in certain circumstances when I need assistance. I'm not sure exactly what to say about that. Elena says, my family is from Virginia. Well, my sister still lives in Virginia. My mother's there now, too, in Culpeper County. Although today they went up to New Jersey for my uncle's funeral. Jonathan says, is there a magical reason you guys don't get more specific with us about how you do your rituals?
No.
Not in particular. But I mean, the ritual that we started using, it varies. For the drawing down the moon ritual is one I found online, so it's a pretty common ritual out there. The thing about a ritual is it's the energy and the focus of the participants that make it happen. So the ritual format is just sort of like a frame to hang.
Framework. That's a good term for it.
To give something shape and substance. And then you have to fill it up, of course, with your energy, your experience, your intent, your connection with spirit, etc. So we just haven't gotten into like saying here's a ritual. Although I've done a few of the, talk about some of the things I've written for the Sabbats, some of my personal poetry, and then some of the other ritual elements that we use. So that it's out there in our videos, a few things. But we don't have any oaths that we have to maintain as far as sharing those particular things go. Yeah.
No reason in particular at all.
So Vanessa V says, my dogs and I love you guys too. Thank you.
Cool.
We have a new neighbor next door. I got to meet their dog whose name is Rainbow. So I think they're going to be good neighbors. They named their dog Rainbow and their cat Rhubarb. So.
Yep, and
they have a big
friendly animals.
They have a big giant piece of mahogany obsidian on their front step. We have a nice big chunk of obsidian in our yard as well. So I have a feeling that, they're going to be better neighbors than the last people who were there. Thank goodness, it's about time. But yes, Angela says, I heard a snippet of a book about the Sanderson family having issues with a super strong familiar. I can't remember most of it, but they couldn't banish him. But in the end, we're glad they didn't, because he ended up being so helpful. Okay, I'm not familiar with that story. Michael says, I heard you, Ian. I have the Golden Dawn book. I'll definitely try it out. Desideratum says, I may have asked this before, but does anyone know of an elemental specifically made of Akasha spirit? Example, gnomes equal earth.
Well, technically, that's made of Akasha is not really
An elemental.
possible.
Yeah. Spirit is a different kind of substance than earth, air, fire, and water because it doesn't materialize down. So,
but it will. Well, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot harder to work with in general. So, yeah, I don't think so. That's a good question. I have no idea. Violet says, cool. Luna says, at Ian, Denny of Foolish Fish reckons that the Golden Dawn threw a couple of blinds into the LBRP to throw non-initiates. I'll send you the link to his video explaining, as it's very interesting. Thank you.
Cool. I do have on that subject. If the Golden Dawn actually found the cipher manuscripts in the bookstore, as I believe it was Franz Hartmann or Westcott, and deciphered it and published it exactly like they'd found it, as I understand it, and it sounds like they very well may have just found the ritual, so in that case nobody was purposely putting any blinds into anything. They used it as it was, or they lied about the whole thing. Well, we know they lied about reaching the contact with the German Springle. Anyway, that they claimed they had contact with the hidden masters and permission to use the ritual, but they didn't. But I've seen copies of the cipher ritual and how it translates, and it seems pretty reasonable that they found it that way. So I don't know. In that case, they didn't write it, so they weren't throwing any blinds into it.
But when they reformed the Golden Dawn, they were changing
did
things.
They change it? Yeah.
That's the question,
I don't know.
I think.
I'm not up on current Golden Dawn practices.
Right. So if it is a recent kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the reformed Golden Dawn or the original Golden Dawn that you're talking about. Right. Moonfire says Foolish Fish and Esoterica are cool channels. Jonathan says, Dizzy, that's my concept of universal intelligence. Shiva is my Akasha being. That's the Desideratum. How would you use four-leafed clovers for magic if you had lots of them, like 1,000 or more? Well, then, I don't know. Use your imagination. Also curious how to use holly leaves for home protection. Well, if you're going to use holly leaves for home protection, you need to make sure that they're the ones that got the spiky things on them, because holly trees can have both leaves without spikes and leaves with spikes. And the idea is that it's spiky, and so anything that comes at you is going to get impaled upon their points. You could use rose thorns, too, in a similar way. So it's like association magic. It's sympathetic magic. So you have to think along the lines of the associations between the image and the properties of the object that you're using to get a certain effect. That's like with the witch's bottles, there's needles and pins and, sharp objects in there because, again, they poke people, hurt people, make them go away and leave you alone, make them uncomfortable. I suppose that if you didn't have pins, you could use porcupine quills, for example, because that's another animal that has a lot of spikes on it, and it uses them specifically for protection in order to tell other living things to back the hell off and leave them alone. So that's how all of that kind of magic works. Yeah, so that would be why. So Elena says, have you ever had a familiar that's alive in the form of an animal? Not personally, although I think my cat Charlie came close. When I was young, my first cat Roscoe used to sort of be in my dreams, and whenever I needed to see her, she would hear me in her mind. I could call her from anywhere. If she was outside hunting, she would run into the house and come up to my bedroom and so forth. So it's possible that she was acting as a familiar and trying to protect me in that sense. But I don't know. Desi says, Jonathan, that's an interesting idea. I wonder if an Akashic elemental could be artificially created. Shifa and Ian, what do you think? No.
Barden says the Akasha cannot be compressed, so you can't use it as a substance and fill it with more and more Akasha. It's either the Akasha's there or it's not, but...
Let's think of this, okay? I've been thinking about this for a while. Of all the matter that's in the universe that exists, only 15% of it is physical and perceivable. 85% of it we cannot interact with or perceive or measure. So, that could be all the spirits, and the planes, and the Akasha, and all kinds of other things. Dark matter may be the answer to a lot of those questions. So, Michael says, I saw a door in the middle of the circle ripple. I got up and went to my back door, and there was my dog waiting to come in. It was so real in my mind. Well, that's pretty awesome. Elena says, wow, that's so cool. Michael says, I saw the ripple and door in my mind. The vision or mind speak was spool real. Spool real? So real? Elena says, my cat doesn't listen to me. He got out yesterday and didn't come back until he got hungry. I was trying to call him, but I was being ignored. Yeah, well.
I've had cats do that before. Like when Charlie got under the house when I was doing the bathroom floor.
Well, yeah, that's because he wanted to explore what the heck you were hiding.
I kept trying to call him, and he just closed his eyes.
Yeah,
he
pretended.
Can't see me. My eyes
he
are
pretended
closed.
He wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I'm under the floor of the house now. I've never been here before, and I'm not leaving until I know what's going on. He got kind of miffed at me the second day he got stuck down there because I didn't get him out right away. He was a very curious cat. He wanted to know everything that was going on.
Yeah, he dove past a running reciprocal saw as I was sawing a hole in the floor to get down the hole.
Yeah, that was commitment. Especially.
Reciprocal saws are very noisy, and I wouldn't think a cat would like it in the least.
No. Desert Robin says, so clovers for luck and spiky holly leaves on an amulet protecting my door, maybe? That would work.
Yep.
You know, I mean, if you think about it, around solstice, people who put up holly wreaths fairly often, along with, the other kinds of greenery that are available that time of year in the northern part of the world anyway. And not only was it a solar symbol, but also a symbol of protection and so forth on the door. So you could actually make yourself an interesting wreath decoration or something like that to put on your door. And people might have no idea what it was. There's a lot of things that are decorations that are like that. They can be magical, like fishnets, is good for catching energy coming in. Bottles that are open can catch things coming in. I mean, there's a lot of different yard decorations that used to be used specifically for protecting the home. The chimes, wind chimes and things like that for chasing negative spirits away. So yeah, all that stuff. Michael says, never happened to in my short 40-something years. So real. Darn, spell check. Desideratum says, the ancient Romans had a goddess that represented the void. Wish I could remember the name.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the Roman stuff except the real commonly known ones. Apollo, Zeus.
Well, that's the Greek.
They're Greek. Sorry. Shows you what I know.
Jupiter and the sun.
Oh, like Jupiter and okay.
Actually, Apollo was both. Moonfire says Erebus is the Greek god of the void. Ah. They have gods for everything. Gods and goddesses for everything.
Yep.
So, yeah. That's the way it works. But it is always interesting when you run into one. Find out it's still got some oomph to it. The way the universe is structured is mysterious. Discordia? No, I don't think she was void. She was the goddess of discord and started the Trojan War, so she was Greek. Violet says, any thoughts about appeasing the wind gods from my neighbor's loose items? I worry they will hit my car. I bought some square cement planters to do my part, but we are in a wind tunnel, and her stuff is gonna fly. And I don't know. Physical reality is sort of overrides almost everything when it comes to it, especially if something is flying through the air with the wind behind it. I don't know about appeasing the wind gods. That's Aurora's children, or the gods of the wind. Boreas and all those guys. So figure out which direction the wind is coming from and do a little research. Maybe you'll come across something and see if you can do something about that. I don't know. It's possible. Jonathan says, Dizzy, Akasha exists outside of time and space. Whatever you are doing with it is working directly with universal source energy, as small or big as you make it. In any Akashic elemental is God herself. It's one way of looking at it. Or existence, or all of reality. The entire universe. That 85% invisible stuff. Michael says, any thoughts on lemons and their ability to absorb bad energy, or at least warn you that they're bad, that there is bad energy? I've seen some stuff about lemons. I know that they're definitely a good fruit to have around, but I don't know about their ability to absorb negative energy. They are purifying in and of themselves. They are antiseptic kind of naturally. Citrus is in general. We associate them with cleanliness and clean environment, which is why they add lemon scent to practically all home products, because we have that association in our mind that the smell of lemon means clean. And so I would assume that that is why they have that reputation of absorbing bad energy. I'm not sure what do they look like when they're warning you. I haven't delved into that one, so it's not one of the universal symbol sign thingies that I'm currently aware of. I like adding it to my water to make it more absorbable. Violet says, that helps. Michael says, in a room in your home. I don't know. Moonfire says, I'm not as familiar with Roman as Greek. Rome kind of ripped off everyone. Well, that's how I thought of it, too. Violet says, Aurora. Had you heard Aurora was Lucifer's mom? Heard that once and wrote it down. No, I hadn't heard that. Unless you mean Hermes? So, Charity says, hello there. Hi, Charity. Violet says, eggs. Eggs are used to see if something is bad?
Well, for like
Akasha?
too.
Lemons?
Well,
I don't know. Elena says, is there anything I can do to help myself heal from a fractured bone? Okay, so you didn't hear this from me. But bone set actually works pretty good, which is also comfrey. There's a lot of medical woo-woo about it, saying that it's a bad thing to use internally, so if you're worried about that, you can use it externally, make a poultice on where the fracture is, and that could help. As far as like energetically goes, theoretically pink light is supposed to help with bone fractures. So if you want to breathe in pink energy, rose quartz on it maybe would help.
Yeah, you need to take the stuff internally though too, the bone set, for how it works.
Well, right, I'm saying, but if they're worried about doing it internally, they can do it externally, because it's against medical advice. It's like one of those herbs that they've decided to say a whole bunch of negative stuff about and whatnot. Although I don't believe it myself personally, and I've used it for years.
Yeah, I've never had any problem.
It's supposed to actually help make your bones denser, so that's why it's called bone set.
Maybe you should try some. Speaking of which, you're going for your bone density test.
Well, too late now. That's in 2 days. After, though, I'm going to. Again. And we got it to do that, and then I forgot about it and spaced it. It's like one of those things. All right, so Desiderum says at Moonfire, interesting. I'm mostly sure the Roman version is female. It's supposed to be incredibly seductive. Like a black hole, once you've crossed that line, you're Spev? Elena says, I'm trying to stay positive and imagine myself healed and happy. Michael says, thank you, that makes sense. Twice. And Desiree says, spaghetti. Spelled different. And apparently we're talking food groups. Eddie says, hello, Siofra and Ian. Haven't been to a live in a while. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I think we are. Thank you very much. Moonfire says, eggs are used for absorbing bad energy. Voodoo, I think. Yes, I've seen that. And you can use an egg, like rubbing it on yourself, to absorb negative energy in your body and then open it up and see what it looks like, or flush it down the toilet, or something like that. Charity, Jonathan says, hi, Charity. You're early tonight. Violet says, hi, Charity. Oh, no. Violet says, eggs came to mind. I have a vague memory of reading keeping an egg on the counter to trap bad juju, but I'd have to Google that and do not remember exactly. Michael says, my phone is dying. Thank you both and the community for everything. Much love and blessings to you all.
Blessed be. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm sorry your phone is dying. Violet says, have you ever heard about scorpion magic? Real critters. Is that dark to do?
Juju.
Yeah, juju. I have no idea. I don't know enough about it. I mean, it depends on how anything is used.
I don't know anything about it either. I know that there are some, a few Indian fakirs who have a method of, have been reported to kill scorpions by pointing at them in areas, and there are people who will actually wander around. I believe it was Paul Brunton ran into a couple of them and reported about it in his books, but they could point at a scorpion and just kill it on the spot.
Wow.
But it only worked with scorpions, because that was their thing. Scorpions and snakes.
I bet they were popular.
Probably were, a place where there's lots of scorpions. Yeah.
Yeah, you live in a place with a lot of snakes and scorpions. It's like, hey, come over for dinner. Try some pointing. That would be nice. Here, have a free meal. So, yeah. Angela says, I hope you feel better soon, Elena. And Violet's saying voodoo, juju. Yeah. We figured that one out. Vanessa V says, indigenous in Mexico use an onion to absorb sickness, but when my family and I got COVID, all the limes in the house went bad. Interesting. And they are, related to lemons. So maybe. That's why. Who knows? Angela says, the Egyptian scorpion goddess is associated with medicine and protection, Violet. It would depend on the tradition, but Serket doesn't seem dark to me. And Elena says, what is bone set? Bone set is an herb. That's the name of the plant, and it's the same as comfrey, isn't it? So comfrey would be the same as bone set, and it's one of its common names. A lot of times you can find out, oh, I just looked up bone set. It's a plant. You're welcome. Okay. Very cool. Proactive. I like it. Jump in there and figure it out on your own. That's what Google is for sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work, of course. There are days, I notice, there are some days that I can type in something and get whatever information I'm looking for. And then there's other days that it's like, no matter how I phrase it, Google's not going to help me. Or any of the other search engines. Violet says, oh, cool, Angela, thanks. Yeah, I mean, anything, no matter what it is, can be used both positively and negatively. And like we've said before, that dark magic is a matter of perspective. Depends on where you are in the spectrum as to whether or not it's affecting you negatively or positively. Then you would consider it either negative or positive magic, so.
Yeah, the only thing that makes stuff bad magic or dark magic is how you use it, really.
So Charity says, what do you think about the Druids and Celtic practices, the Fae? Well, I like the Fae. We've got a relationship going. The Druids do ritual different than me. They don't believe in casting circles. Celtic magic is, the gods and goddesses are certainly something that I have had connections with, like Bridget and the Dagda, and some of the other ones. So I mean, there's a lot of different traditions out there. Every single culture has its own set of traditions, not just a single tradition anyway.
Yeah.
So they're all going to have different ways that they interact with the world and with the spirits in their area and so forth, and the names that they use to do the same thing. I mean, it may sound sometimes different, but sometimes it's actually the same thing, just using a different language base. So it really varies quite a bit. Eddie says, or Angela said, no problem. Eddie says, I recently had a dream about finding a rose quartz pendulum. I've never owned one in real life, yet in my dream it felt as if I had known it and been looking for it a long time. Any ideas how to interpret? Sounds like you have a trip to a rock shop in your future. That's what I would think.
Rose quartz, of course, is associated with love and all that, so
Positive energy.
seems like a positive thing.
Healing. Yeah, rose quartz is a nice stone. It's very gentle. Gentle energy, safe to wear on your heart chakra. It's not going to like overpower your chakra centers or anything, and just good, sort of a gentle energy to it. Jonathan says, Ian, I think you evoked a demon once to help a friend. Evoking demons seem to be more popular than ever. Do you guys have any passing thoughts on the practice of getting in touch with demons?
Well, I did never evoke a demon once to help a friend, but I know what you're talking about. We had a guy come visit us that was worshiping a demon, basically, and through some trick of semantics, they turned it into that he was worshiping Ishtar, I think, but
Or Astarte?
it was Astaroth, an Astaroth seal that he was worshiping. So what I did was go onto the other planes, traveled to that particular demon, and said, you know, this guy's worshiping you. If you make him leave us alone permanently, we won't hassle you or him. And it seems to have succeeded quite well. So yeah, I haven't tried to evoke one, and I don't think it's why do you want to evoke demons? There's good spirits that'll do just as much, unless you're just looking
or better.
unless you're looking to make people commit mass suicide or something. I don't know why you'd want to. It was really a demonic being and not a positive one.
Yeah.
I can't think of any valid reasons, really. Just saying.
Well, that would be our passing thoughts on the practice of getting in touch with demons. A bad idea.
Yeah, I did it very carefully and with some help of some non-corporeal beings that helped me out a little bit. So, like anything else, my opinion is they're okay if you treat them respectfully, but again, we're back to the why. You know, all the stuff the Barden's beings will do. I know it's nice, and groups have started throwing demons at each other, and it gets pretty ugly out there.
Yeah, I had somebody throw a demon at me once, and I didn't even know them. I don't know why that happened, but I took care of it at the time and sent it back, which is one of the hazards. If you send back a positive being, then usually nothing bad happens to you. But if you send back a negative one, I don't know. Could be tricky. So Angela says, had a little fey encounter. Several of my statues that were nowhere near the edge tumbled off my desk. One broke, but not so much I couldn't keep it when I meditated that night. 2 fey, and I think there must be more coming, showed themselves in my meditation and apologized for knocking them. I told them it was fine, please be careful, and they sat with me for a while. Cool. Sounds like a positive encounter. You know, accidents happen no matter what you are. Charity says, telepathy and clairvoyance. Druids. That is cool. I'm not sure if you mean druids.
Oh, I'm sure that's what it must have been.
Okay. Well, I thought it could be something else. I don't know. She asked me what I thought about the druids. Okay. Get me back where I was. Moonfire says, some beliefs think you can evoke demons and have them serve you to give them better karma, but I don't feel like trying it.
No,
To
I'd
give the
say
demon better karma so it
yeah,
cannot be
no.
a demon anymore?
It's a cute idea, but more than likely, it wouldn't go well. Um, you'll end up working for them. I pretty much believe Barden on that aspect. You end up working with them after you're dead for a certain time period to pay back however much energy they
They did
shifted
on your
your way.
behalf,
Yeah.
yeah. So Destiny says, how do you guys feel about haunted items and or do you own any? Haunted items, if I had one, I would be helping it to become unhaunted by, you know, putting the spirit and helping it cross to where it belongs if it was a human spirit, or grounding it out in the ground and letting the energy dissipate back to the earth. So no, I don't own any. And I have been on some cases where there was a haunted object, like the wheelchair in particular. It was a recent haunting because the guy died before he could use the wheelchair, but he was attached to the wheelchair and thought they had kidnapped him and taken his chair. So I fixed that problem because he was not
That's
happy.
right. Wow.
That was in Lilith's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that there's a fad online for people to sell haunted dolls, and some people really like them. They think it's a cool thing. It sounds to me like somebody has created a jail for a spirit being. And if I was that spirit when I got out, I'd be really pissed. And I would not be a nice person. So I would avoid that at all costs myself. Eddie says, any suggestions on workings to help stimulate motivation? It's finals time for college and I'm running out of energy fast with all the tasks I have on my plate. Sounds like something Mercury might be able to help you with.
Yeah, possibly. He's pretty speedy.
Yeah, and good on focus and communication and of all kinds. So focus, attention, studying, and all that kind of stuff is sort of his bailiwick.
I'd certainly think Mercury would be the one to target for that, especially around academia and college and stuff.
Yeah, and some of the smells that are good to help you focus, like cinnamon, is a good one for generating attention, focus, mental attention, and clarity. So you might try that. Angela says, how is Kali doing? Is she still on her brick? No, we removed her from the brick. She made a colony of earwigs and we let them go into the ground onto the potatoes, and she is now back on my altar. She's done her job, and if there's more to do, she'll be doing it not from the backyard. John says, great answer. Thanks, guys. Do you have any contact with members of your former covens or organizations? At the moment, not really. I mean, I get the occasional email from the woman in Texas. For a while, she was really active on a bunch of sites, and she kept bringing me these weird paranormal things where we were doing, like, Facebook Live things to look around. She has a hard time following instructions because the one I did with her, and I saw some stuff and told her about it. I says, okay, I saw this thing over here. Do not tell the person who lives there that I saw this thing because it's just going to freak her out. There's no reason because we can just take care of it. And the first thing she did when we talked to her was say, she saw this weird thing in the closet. There's a portal in your closet. And I'm like, ah. So I was having a difficult time. Like, communication wasn't really clear. But she has since decided that all she's getting is crazy people and there's no point in continuing, so she stopped. So yeah, that's about it, really. We're just at this point where we're not having an active group. Doing this is what our current work is. And, trying to get information out there for more than just the few people we might meet in a life. So the internet has definitely expanded our ability to share our experiences and our knowledge with other people so it doesn't necessarily get lost upon our death. So that'll be interesting from the other side. I'll have to sneak a peek and see what's going on. Violet says, Surket was what I was seeking. Angela says, what do you know about the Druids? I'm trying to find out more as they intrigue me for some reason. There's a bunch of different Druid organizations in the United States. So the American Druid Association or something like that. So find some books. There's plenty of Druid organizations out there.
Yeah, I always found that fascinating too, but the problem is there's so many things that are fascinating, you can't do them all.
Yeah.
That is one of the things I would like to learn more about eventually is Druidry.
Sir Cat says, Sir Cat is lovely energy to work with. I've been working with her a little for my scorpion phobia. That's from Angela. Elena says, I'm too scared to mess with demons. Y'all are brave. Well, not necessarily brave, but it was a necessity at the time. But yeah not. Eddie says, thank you. You're welcome, Eddie, for the suggestions to help you through this time. Luna says, ooh, I saw a fae being in my temple space 2 nights in a row whilst chatting with Jono this week. Or Jono. It was completely white, body, limbs, and wings, about the size of an atlas moth, and super cool. That sounds pretty interesting. Moonfire says, Elena, I wouldn't play with demons. I just know some people do. Like I said, I don't feel right about it. Yeah, us either. Elena says, yeah, I don't know if it's for me personally either. We're all with you. Luna says, and oh, how we appreciate the work you are currently doing, Siofra. You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd say anybody who wants to deal with like the Goetta or the demonic beings of the Goetta, go look at Barden's book for the positive beings. You'll find many more spirits in his book
Scads.
that can do
lots of things.
Basically anything you'd find the demons would do. You can accomplish just as much with the good beings, so to me there's just not a point.
So Eddie says, I made a fluorite deer bone wand and had it sitting at my booth at an art show. I noticed the children there seemed drawn to interact with compared to other items at other booths. Thoughts? Probably felt its energy, and deer is very healing and kind and safe and compassionate, especially around children.
Kids notice that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're not all involved in thinking all in their heads, they can just feel. And
when I would walk around with my staff in public, children would be immediately drawn to my staff, and parents would be grabbing their kids and trying to drag them away from me because they were terrified of it. So, yeah, children are a lot more open and non-judgmental when it comes to magical things. They're closer to magic when they're little. So I think that would probably be it. Vanessa V says, for modern Druidry, I recommend John Michael Greer, but remember that Druidry nowadays is not the same as the ancient Druids, only inspired by. It'll be kind of difficult because nobody can really talk to a living ancient Druid.
I think the only legitimate information they have is from the Eddas, the poetic Eddas, things like that. So I think a lot of what they did in the past was actually been lost, but I haven't researched that lately.
Well, there's some information in the Mabinogion, which is the Welsh version of some of that Celtic stuff. So, yeah. But really, we're recreating things all the time. I mean, that's the thing about magical paths. They're not static. There should be no dogma involved in them because the earth is a living, breathing, conscious, and changing creation. And so what worked in the past may not work in the present. What new things we create to work with the spirits or the planets or whatever doesn't mean that it doesn't have power, focus, attention, and so forth on the other side. So that's one of the reasons why there's so many different types of paths out there. So Charity says, when I was 16, I tried to cast a love spell. I had absolutely no idea really what I was doing, lighting candles and calling forth spirits. All I know, I will never try that again. I had to banish them. Good lesson. I'm glad. So I never play with spells if they aren't good protection and healing spells. Sounds like a good idea. Angela says, I love these lives. I'd miss you if you stopped. Well, thank you. Moonfire Dawn says, I was playing with a spirit app and kept getting a demonic voice speaking a strange language and a female singing in another language. I tried to be as respectful as possible and back out politely. That's strange. Charity says, remember one video you said, be very careful opening portals? Well, yeah, unless you know how to close them. It's easier to open than close, apparently. Jonathan says, really stupid, unhelpful question. If you guys tried to evoke a demon, do you think you would be successful? Absolutely, but we have no reason to do it.
And yeah, you have to measure success too, because that doesn't mean you have one to physical appearance, but appearance mentally at least, if not astrally. So.
Luna says, I learned everything I know about druids from the Asterix comic books. Sorry, just saying. Seriously, though, we have lots of druids in the UK, and they seem pretty cool when I've encountered them. I loved those books. I had those books in Canada. I read them to my kids. They were great. Monica Kazanik says, so I too am very interested in information on the druids. I recently stumbled upon the Ogam. It's the Celtic oracle of the trees. It might be a good place to start in your search. Jonathan says, Luna, Get a Fix is the best druid of all time. Alrighty then. But we are not druids. So our knowledge of druidism is limited to rumor, speculation, and the few we might have met. And the one local one I met here turned out to be a giant a-hole, so I decided not to judge all druids by him. I do have a casual acquaintance with Phaedra Bonowitz, who is married to PEI Bonowitz, who started the current Druid movement, I think one of the original ones. And so she certainly is a good source for all things Druidic, I think. And Bonowitz might also be a good source. Like everything else, things become politicized and backbiting happens, and people break off from one organization to start a version of it themselves. So, use your senses as well as you can. Angela says, I had a dream once of a lady dressed in animal skins. She gave me a name and chatted with me by a fire, then was gone. I was a kid, so I didn't connect the dream to anyone. I was thinking about her recently. Sounds like a important spirit guide, I would say. Elena says, what book did he say to look into that was better than working with demons? A SCAD? Didn't quite catch that, but if definitely look into it, that would be Barden's book, Evocations.
Yeah, practice of magical evocation.
Yeah, the practice of magical evocation. Franz Barden. He has the names, the job descriptions, and the seals of hundreds and hundreds of beings in his book. And you can look through different spheres, Earth Zone, which are easier to connect with, the elemental beings, then the planetary beings, and what their jobs are. And he puts the positive ones in there and not the negative. So if you need an assist on the spirit plane, then you have a good resource to look things up. So Angela says, thank you, everyone. I may have to check all these sources out. Elena says, I'd. Okay. Luna says, Jono Cake Mix is another great druid. Jonathan laughed at Luna. Vanessa V says, there's also a documentary on The Last Druid, I recommend. Python High Adder says, Franz Barden is an elder.
Yeah, he
Yep.
qualifies, whatever term it is, that you use for that. He definitely qualifies.
Jennifer S. says, if you're interested in Druidry, check out the organization OBOD and John Beckett. He has a regular column on Pathos Pagan and has a couple of good books on paganism. So I like the fact that we have so many people out there who have information they're willing to share with other people. I think it's great. Python High Adder said, great to hear you guys talking about Franz Barden. Yeah, we usually talk about him at least once every live show, if not more. The Brotherhood of Life.
Yeah. The Brethren of Light.
Yes, the Brethren of Light sounds better than the Brotherhood of Life. But
Well, I think that's
I don't know, it might be both.
Well, that's the term he uses in Frabato, I believe, is the Brethren of Light.
Okay, he says life there, but whatever. Okay. The Allura Valor says Ariel Gotoga on YouTube. Violet says, do you invoke or evoke anything, or is that now less now that we are older? I mean that very respectfully always. We are in the process of planning an evocation. So we still do stuff. Allura says he's a druid triad. Python says, first live. Well, welcome to our live show. It's always good to have new people. I appreciate new blood.
Yeah, well, you'll find we talk about Barden a lot. He's about my favorite subject as far as magicians go. I don't think I've read anything that compares. Not even close.
Yeah, for the ceremonialists that are out there, and the hermeticists, he is definitely our go-to guy. Python says, "Thank you. You're welcome." Yeah, so that's the thing is we have a wide range of experiences between us. I think that makes us a good couple for that because we have so many.
Right.
But we don't have absolutely all knowledge of the universe.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, yet. Yeah, right, yet. Between the two of us, we cover a huge range of subjects, but not everything. So, yeah, which is good. Violet says, "Can I ask who for evocation?" That's up to you.
Yeah, it's a spirit of Mercury. The purpose is my sister is quite insane and psychotic, and I want to see if there's anything we can do to help cure her. So that would be the reason for our attempt.
Yeah, he tried some of the Earthstone spirits first, and each one of them says, "No, I can't do it, but try this guy." And then gave him the seal and the name of the next guy. So that was kind of interesting in that they all turned out to be accurate. It's always good to get confirmation that what you're getting is real. And then they all sent us to Mercury, and the Mercury guy says, "Yeah, I can help, maybe." So we're working on that. And Vanessa V says, "Also Laura O'Brien. She doesn't talk about Druids, but on Irish paganism in general. She works with the Morrigan and the She."
Cool.
Luna says, "Also check out Philip Carr-Gomm for more on Druids. He's a Druid author, director, I think, and tarot author." Jonathan says, "Barden qualifies for any and every title. The dude is my John the Baptist. Anyone here who hasn't read Barden, what are you doing with your life?" Well, obviously something else, I would say. Violet says, "Oh, thanks for the share. That was helpful to understand." Eddie says, "I opened myself up to demons once out of curiosity and naivety. They induced a 2-day psychosis attack. I had to banish and purify for weeks to get them all out. I guess demon work is not for me." Well, I'm so glad you made it through and got them out. Congratulations. That would have been quite the test. Talk about a sort of a crossing the abyss kind of a thing. But yeah, being well defined is an important aspect of magical work. So knowing what you don't want to do is just as good as figuring out what you do want to do, I think. Because then when it comes up, inevitably as it will, you can go like, "Nope, not that," and keep on going and move along your path. Desideradum says, "Speaking of comic books, Neil Gaiman did a master class on writing, and Alan Moore just did one with BBC Maestro." Okay, don't know any of those guys either. We're now talking. Neil Gaiman I have heard of, but I don't know what in context. But hey, that's okay. So we got about 10 minutes left on our live show. So if you have questions for us, ask away.
Well, I got plenty of information anyway. I probably got a year's worth of videos I can make now if I manage to get to all of it.
Well, I mean, over the last couple of years, you've finally gotten to the point where you're comfortable with the idea. So that's awesome. We are all slowly changing, transforming to other people. The Allure says, "How long have you been in the craft?" Let's see. I knew I was a witch when I was 4 years old, and I'm 72. So, what does that make it? 68 years?
You want to go that way? Yeah.
I started doing tarot in high school in the 9th grade, and so that would have been 1964 or so. I discovered that there were other people like me when Starhawk came out with their book, The Spiral Dance, in the late 70s, early 80s. And so that gave me some direction. And before that, I did as much as I could research-wise in every other kind of way. There was no internet, so you couldn't just type in a search word and find out who wrote stuff. And there weren't very many authors yet that were widely available, certainly not where I lived, and not in my school library. I actually even went to Washington, D.C. when we moved down to Virginia and did some research on some of the ancient grimoires that they have there in their historical book archive. Although most of that was completely useless and I knew was wrong, so. Luna says, Desideratum, are you in the UK then? Monica says, I'm so grateful to have caught this live. I'm busy writing notes and learning. Yay! Learning is good. Angela says, what are your favorite magical practices to use and what is your favorite kind of spell? Well, being aware of the environment and the world around me is what I would consider my main magical practice, sort of being alive and in the moment and paying attention to the universe and how it speaks to me. So it's not a specific type of practice, it's sort of a way of being. And spell work, my favorite kind are healing spells when I do them. I tend not to do that many spells. So Jonathan says, Ian Siofra, your videos are awesome. You guys are amazing. So how many videos are you going to release this week?
Well, I'll try to get one done, but life interferes sometimes.
And I'll definitely get one done as well. So we'll see. We like to spread them out, you know, to keep you guys coming back, right? Eddie says, what's your favorite animal spirit to work with and why? This question is for you too, Ian.
You want to start?
Well, I mean, I work with a lot of animal spirits. My totem is a deer, so I work with the deer energy a fair bit. And then I've got the bear and the panther that I work with as well. And of course, cats are my favorite animal on earth as far as, you know, having in the house. Although rabbits are becoming a fair, a pretty close second right now, since I've never lived with a rabbit.
So yeah, I didn't have an animal spirit to work with that was a favorite so much, but you'll note the name Ian Coyote. It seems like I have a resemblance to a coyote on some level, so I work with that energy probably more of any other spirit animal.
And his coyote comes to visit me on a fairly frequent. I had twice, I think, last week that coyote came in to just go like, hey, I'm here, just thought you should know, kind of thing. Python says age 14 to 55 on 430. Okay, not sure what that means. Vanessa V says that Neil Gaiman is a writer and inspired by different mythologies. He is great. The Allure of Valor gives us some green hearts, thank you. Violet says, way of being, I like that. Chantel says, why do you tend not to do spells? Because I'm just busy doing stuff. I mean, a lot of my focus, especially in the beginning, was inner work, working on myself. And I do spells when specific situations arise. I don't find that there's reasons to do them all the time because things are going the way I want. I don't have to like nudge the universe in a specific direction. I do protection stuff because, you know, crazy psychotic sister and other people wandering through our yard kind of thing. But I just consider that basic self-defense and don't really think of it as spell work. So I guess it's a definitional kind of thing. And with healing stuff, healing I think is important. I'm definitely a healer and I've always been a healer. And so, you know, making a poppet of someone who's sick and putting healing herbs and stuff in there and writing their name on it and putting it on my altar to attract attention from different healing entities and spirit beings and so forth, and to focus the energy to help them stay strong so that they can heal is what I would do. But I'm not doing that every day. You know, it's like life happens. You know, you're going along doing all sorts of things. So it's not like a major focus. It's just, it's kind of like in my toolbox, I have all these different tools that I can use depending on a given situation. One could be doing a ritual work, one could be doing a spell, one could be having a very serious chat with a spirit, or whatever, you know. It's like, depends on the circumstances. So, Python says, been with Barden since 1998. Desideratum says, and speaking of demons, can someone incinerate a dangerous entity via magic psychic skills, or is that just Hollywood? I think that's just Hollywood, because they're not...
basically, there are some things in the old grimoires, and they're approach are something I don't like at all, but their approach is to threaten the being with destruction of its seal and ultimate destruction of the being if it doesn't obey. And I think all you're going to do is piss it off. You know, if you're talking about trying to disintegrate a thought form or an elementary or something that's pestering you or a larva, yeah, you can. I don't think you can with the real beings.
Because it exists
They're out there,
independently of
yeah.
you, so it's not like you're in charge.
Yeah, even though that's what they do in the old grimoires, you're supposed
Yeah.
to prepare a box with stinking herbs like sulfur and different things and soak their seal in it to torture them, and then if you really want to get rid of them, you're supposed to have a final evocation, and you light their seal on fire and burn it and destroy them. But yeah.
So Python wants to still know how long in the craft. I guess if I have to pick a date, it'd be the 1980s, early on, when I found Starhawk's book. If that's what you're thinking of, a more structured scenario. I was just born this way, so finding a structure was... I had to wait. I had to wait for things to catch up. Jonathan says, have an awesome week, everybody. This chat feels like my home. Oh, did you ever read any of the tribal myths about Coyote? And you've tried to find some.
Yeah, I've read everything I can find about Coyote. I think that he gets kind of a bum rap in a lot of the stuff, as being a fool. I could go on about that for a while, but since we're about at the end of our thing, but yeah, I read anything on Coyote I can find.
And it's like there's a lot of misunderstandings about his nature, we think. So Desi says that Luna in Berkeley, California, but lived in LDN near King's Cross before the Olympics for 6 months twice, so used to be in England. Eddie says, Dizzy, at one time I called upon Apollo to use the light fire of the sun to burn cleanse my space of a dark parasitic entity. It worked wonders. Don't know if it would work on demons, but maybe. Python says, no, I was explaining my own walk. Oh, that's how long you've been in the craft. Okay. Sorry. These are short sentences, and sometimes I don't always understand what it is people are leading to. So thank you for explaining. Luna says, at Desi, cool, I've never been to the States, but I'm rapidly coming to the conclusion that I prefer it to England after living here all my life. Have a blessed week, lovely people. Yes, and it's our time for us to go. So thank you all. And we'll talk to you again next week. And we'll keep on keeping on. So, yeah. And Ian is writing his own goodbye. So thank you, lovely people, for being here. Bye.
Well, sure, we can put that down. Angela asked if we can do